Once upon a time, there was a young basketball player who had dreams of becoming one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He worked day and night, every day, for years and years and years and years and years.
We'll never see another basketball player quite like Kobe.
We all know what a great player he was, but the thing that I find in a time like this is when people talk about the type of human being he was.
Kobe, means greatness.
The impact he had not only on the NBA, but the entire world.
That man was a philosopher, he was a teacher. You know, he left so many great things here for us to follow.
Just the amount of impact that he had on all of us, you know.
The impact that he made both on the floor and off the floor, being able to inspire people older than him, inspire people that's younger than him, inspire ones that kind of need that inspiration that's now professional athletes that's doing great things now, was all inspired by him.
This kid had passion like you would never know.
What Kobe Bryant really meant to this city, 20 years of great basketball, watching a young man grow from an 18-year-old to now, you know, an icon in this city and in the state of California.
That he's watching over us. You know, it's our responsibility to just represent the purple and gold, not only for him, but for all the greats, everybody that's ever come through.
All the players that was able to wear those uniforms that he, that was inspired by him and his mind and his creativity.
It's not about how long you're here, it's about what you do when you're here.
Mamba out.
A year is a long time, right? But some memories, they do last forever. And today, we're going to honor the teacher, the icon, the man that was Kobe Bryant. Look, whilst you know that this show is about bringing you knowledge and bringing you the vibes, as my boy Mo would say, we will get to that, I promise you. But this is going to be a Heatcheck special honoring, of course, the man himself, Kobe Bryant. So I'm your presenter, as always, Jaydee Dyer, and here to bring me the special edition that will be a tribute towards Kobe Bryant is the Heatcheck family, as always. Mo, the double M, the NBA analyst, the guy himself, Mo Mooncey. Ovie, the pro basketball player, a true inspiration to us all, and shining across the world. And of course, BJ Armstrong, the three-time NBA champion and Chicago Bulls legend. So gents, look, I know our vibes, I know how we usually smile, but I want this to be a celebration. Yes, first of all, I'm just going to check in with all of you. Just how are you feeling a year on from a tragedy that shocked us all?
I still can't believe it's real. I still remember well, a year ago, my boy rang my phone. He's like, have you heard this? I was like, nah, you're lying. Ain't no way that this could have happened. He's like, no, it's on TMZ. I was like, bro, you know, that's a lie. Like, come on, man. I couldn't believe it. Then I had to go and check, and it took a minute for it to sink in because I was in shock. I was in disbelief because Kobe really, he's a superhero, man. Like, he transcended just a game of basketball. He's an icon around the world. He's the only player you're ever going to see Mo Mooncey wearing a Lakers jersey for. You know what I'm saying? If you're worried about his impact, the man them know I would never wear a Lakers jersey in my life, but in honor of the great legend that is Kobe Bryant, it had to be done. Prayers up for a real one.
Ovie?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not bad, you know. Obviously, today is, you know, there's mixed feelings. A year on from the tragedy, it still doesn't seem real, you know. Like Mo said, I feel like there's certain people that grace us with their presence on this earth, that you almost see them as being immortal, and Kobe is one of those people, you know. You just didn't think anything, you know, you just feel like people like that are indestructible. But, you know, we learn from his life. you know, and we use a lot of the lessons that he left us to push on.
And of course, BJ.
Yeah, it's, you know, guys, just listening to, you know, the piece before we got on air here and listening to everyone and being here in America, it's such a tragic event that happened. And here we are a year later and we're still mourning. We're still mourning the fact that no one can believe it. And being here in particular in LA and having the opportunity to know Kobe Bryant and his family, it's such, you know, you still can't believe it. You know, you're saying, how did this happen? You know, is it something, you know, it's like a dream or a nightmare. And, you know, you just feel, you know, I don't really know how to feel. And here we are a year later, but I always, when I see things here and I'm reminded of the impact that he made to all people all around the world, in particular to the young people. And the thing that you see in the game of basketball, in particular, what we're discussing here, is the impact that he made on the next generation. As you can see how they admired him, they admired his work ethic, and most importantly, they admired his courage, because he was really chasing what it really meant to be a hero, what it really meant to be an icon, what it really meant to be the greatest player of all the time. He had the courage to chase that dream. And, you know, when we talk about this event, not only about Kobe, about his daughter, but let's not forget about all the other people that were on that helicopter as well. And it just seems surreal, guys. Here we are, and I still can't believe that it happened.
Look, to respect the wishes of the Kobe's family, we're not actually going to relive the trauma of the accident that left us all with so much pain in our hearts. But instead, we're going to use this opportunity to honor, to continue to celebrate the specialness that was Kobe's life. And of course, that Mamba mentality. So, a good friend of the show, Max Whittle, actually caught up with a lifelong friend of Kobe Bryant, Davide Giudici, who's caught up and taught us so much about that Mamba mentality and also took us back to his days in Italy.
Still hard to believe, just 24 years after the 1996 NBA draft, the same number he wore for the final 11 seasons of his Lakers career, Kobe Bryant died in a helicopter crash, along with his daughter Gianna and 7 others. 1 year on, to remember the player and person that Bryant became, I spoke with Davide Giudici, who was a friend of Bryant's ever since they met in Reggio Emilia in the north of Italy when Davide was just 10.
I remember perfectly that day. I was playing here in Reggio Emilia with my friends, and one trainer come to us and say, "Hey guys, hello, this is Kobe. He's the son of Joe Bryant, and he's gonna play with you and with us this next season. So please give it to him a welcome." And okay, cool. This is very nice memory.
So were you the Scottie Pippen to Kobe's Michael Jordan? What was your role on this junior team?
Maybe more BJ Armstrong. Do you remember BJ? BJ Armstrong.
Yes.
We were very strong, but we realized when we saw Kobe, we realized that he was very bad. Much better than us.
Okay, Davide, well, for the rest of this interview, I'll call you BJ Armstrong then. How about that? I love this quote from Kobe during the later stages of his career with the Lakers. He said, "There must have been something in the pasta or pizza because I've come from Italy and been kicking ever since." What was the most Italian trait of Kobe's, do you think?
In Italy, we are a little country, so he started to open his mind, and I'm sure that his experience in Italy helped him to become a very smart person. When Kobe spoke, it was very interesting always.
Where do you sense that he got that from? Just being a little bit more individualistic than other people?
His life was not so easy because, his father was a professional player, and one day decided to move to Europe to finish his career. For a child, it's not so easy to change country and change city every 2 years. His best friend was basketball. This is my opinion. Okay, he found in basketball the friends that he lost in every city he had to move.
Did you try and make him more, come on Kobe, let's go and do something other than basketball, or was that just too hard?
Yes, we tried to involve him in birthday party or just have a walk together, but Kobe was already focused on basketball. So it's crazy to explain for me, but he spoke as a professional player when he was 10 years old.
When Kobe was young, he used to play against the senior players. Did you ever see that?
Kobe used to play at the end of the official match here in Reggio Emilia with the Italian professional players. When he was 10, 11, he was better, not in general, but his style of basketball, his movement, it was very nice to see. Was better than Italian professional players. It's a quite famous story about Kobe. When we played in a normal game, not a final, a normal game, he injured himself on a knee, okay? And he started suddenly to cry as a child, just like this, but cry seriously. And everybody, the teammates, asked Kobe, "What happens to you? What's about your knee?" No, it's not about your knees. Maybe it's a big injury. So with this problem, probably I couldn't reach NBA. And everybody, what? Because Max, this is important for us. The NBA is not like now. Then you can see everything. When we were a child, it was very, very difficult to even to see some NBA game. So NBA was another universe.
Davide, when Kobe talked about Reggio Emilia, he said, "My story began in this town," and when he passed away, your mayor, Luca Vecchi, said, "Kobe Bryant grew up among us and was a Reggiano."
A lot of people cry here in Reggio Emilia because Kobe was a very good child, and many people have very good memories about him and about his family. For me, Kobe, and not for me, it's the truth. Kobe was a father, an husband, a son, a brother, a friend. But sometimes we lost that he was a person like me and you. And for me, it's very sad to think about him in the helicopter crash with his daughter. That moment, that second, that he maybe realized to what was going to happen with his daughter. For me, this is very, very, very sad. I can't stand this pain. This is very sad for me.
Is there a memory that you will always remember from that time?
It was the last time we met here in Reggio Emilia, 2016. Kobe was in Europe for a Nike tour, a Nike promotional tour. And Kobe say, "Guys, let's go to Reggio Emilia." So they called me the day before, and they say, don't inform anybody about Kobe arrival. So because could be a big problem for Reggio Emilia. And we saw each other and just started to smile. and he asked me if I still playing, and I say, yes, Kobe, I'm still playing. I'm 41, 42, I'm still playing. And you quit, you stop. And he said, yes, Davide, I was very tired, very, very tired.
I don't know if you remember, he released a rap album in 2000, just before the All-Star game. And when it didn't have the best reviews, I'll say that. And when reporters started to ask about it, he just responded in Italian, very quizzically, and they had no idea what he was saying.
And Max, I can tell you another funny story. Maybe when we won the championship, the tournament of our young league. I used to be the first to take the cup, to take the cup. And when Kobe played with us, he just say, "Hey, Davide, sorry, let me take the cup." In the first place in the line to take the cup before everybody.
Well, Davide, he was just practicing because he had 5 NBA trophies to lift.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. And I say, Kobe, okay, please.
Amazing. He was always a winner, hey? And in your eyes alone, Davide, what is the legacy of Kobe Bryant?
To make your best, in everything you do, at work, in sport, or as a person, this is the most important legacy. Maybe it's very normal things to say, but this is, I think, is the most important legacy we have about Kobe. Just do what you do at your best.
Well, Davide, thank you so much. I hope that the day goes as well as it can for you, and you remember Kobe as you'd like. So thank you for spending the time with me today.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me.
Thank you. Take care. Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you to Davide and thank you to Max for sharing those experiences of Kobe growing up. Things that we wouldn't be able to know, things we wouldn't be able to see, but it's just so interesting to see that Mamba mentality was even within him from so young. But guys, I said this is going to be a celebration today, and I want this to be a celebration because his life is something that should be celebrated. So BJ, I want to come to you first, considering that your name was shouted out in the meeting. Clearly, I know you're international as well. So I want everyone just to think about what their favorite Kobe moments were. I'm going to give you mine as well, and it's probably not going to come from a nice place because he tore my heart apart as a kid. But I just want you to just think about it. Just what are your favorite Kobe memories growing up, playing against him, seeing him, and everything in between?
Well, I had the privilege to get a chance to know Kobe. Him and I, we shared the same agent at the particular time. And I remember his rookie year. And I remember, I knew his dad and his mom and his family and everyone. And one of my favorite moments was we were both at this function at a friend's house. And all of the kids were so excited because they were like, they were NBA players and Kobe Bryant was there. But Kobe Bryant was a little different because he was roughly around the same age as the kids. And we were eating and everyone was there just kind of hanging out on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And all of a sudden, you're like, where did all the kids go? And lo and behold, we look outside and Kobe Bryant is playing all of the kids one-on-one. He's taking them all on one-on-one. And it was just like you just realize how much energy and passion that he had for the game. And he was just playing basketball one-on-one with all of the kids. And the kids thought it was great. And I remember sitting there going, this kid is a little different than the rest. And he was playing and he was competing. And lo and behold, as I think about it, it was like Mamba mentality before we knew what Mamba mentality was. And he was just 18, 19 himself. So that was one of my favorite moments because, you know, we saw the greatness on the court, but then that's who he really was off the court. So that was always one of my favorite moments of him and getting the chance to know him over the years.
Ovie, I've been listening to so many different tributes this week. I've listened to Coach K talk about his favorite memories with Kobe. I've listened to Jason Tatum talk about shooting with him and training with him in LA. I just wanted to know, what was your sort of favorite moments or memories of Kobe Bryant?
You know, I think Kobe just set an example. I think his whole career for me as a player, growing up in the UK, and obviously, you know, there being a sort of huge cultural difference, especially at the time when I was picking up basketball. Like, basketball wasn't a big thing in the UK, but one of the players that I can remember growing up was, you know, Kobe Bryant. I remember that Kobe and Shaq Laker team. And, you know, at that time, I was a big Iverson fan. So the fact that they obviously ended up taking care of business, you know, I was a little bit hurt. But I can always just remember, like, just how amazing he was, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, as we saw him progress throughout his career, I feel like he never really slowed down. He just continued with that same kind of hunger, same drive, same passion. And I think it just speaks to the kind of person he is, do you know what I mean? So I think his whole career for me, you know, it's just a great example for all of us, regardless wherever our field is.
And Double M, I know obviously you broke your rule today because you are wearing a Lakers jersey to honor the great man. But if I ask you just to dip into your archive and tell me what's your favorite Kobe memory, what will come to your mind?
Man, there's so many memories. It's tough to pinpoint just one because the overarching theme of every one of these memories that I have about Kobe is the mentality that he has. You know, when you've got your heart set on a goal, you do anything to achieve it. So, you know, Max touched on in his little piece there about the album that Kobe dropped. And I heard a story from Shaq that Kobe was so competitive that on the Lakers bus after games, they used to play beats out of, you know, the big stereos that they used to have in the late 90s. And they'd play beats and they'd all freestyle over them. And Kobe might not have been the most natural freestyler, but the next day he came to the bus with like a 64 bar that he had written and memorized overnight, just for when they were going to freestyle again, because Kobe had to win everything he did. So, you know, for me, that mentality of Kobe, you know, being not only a great basketball player, but then he went on to make films and win an Oscar, and just in every single aspect of life is summed up by, you know, when he ruptured his Achilles and he stayed on the court to knock down those free throws before walking off. That really just showed the mental strength of the man. And so that's something that I've really tried to adopt in my life, because as someone who's been through a lot of injuries and a lot of different things, you know, I can take that mentality on board and not let anything that happens to me affect my determination for the goal that I'm trying to reach. So just the whole mentality of Kobe Bryant, just there's not enough time in the world to go through all of the examples of the inspiration that this man set.
I think growing up as a kid as well, just to touch on what you're saying in terms of greatness, I think Kobe Bryant was the first time I ever had to appreciate greatness in front of me. Everyone knows I'm an Orlando Magic fan, and everyone knows that the Magic haven't been to the finals since 2009. And who did we face? The Lakers. And I think about that Magic team all the time. I think about Mikael Pietrus, I think about Herder Turgolu, Jameer Nelson, and of course, Howard. And I genuinely, hand on my heart, after we beat Boston in the semifinals, yes, I said Mo, the semifinals, like I thought it was it. Beat the Cavs, beat LeBron, and we thought this is it. No one's going to stop this team. But Kobe Bryant's Lakers team that year was just something sensational. And the way that he performed in those finals performances, the teenager in me at that time had nothing but hatred in my heart. It did. I'm going to be honest. But as I grew to as I grew to appreciate it, I realized I reflect back on that 18-year-old that did the slam dunk competition and everything in between. And it wasn't hatred, it was admiration for looking and seeing somebody that lives life by the admiration and the goals that you set by, which is you want to be great all the time. You want to live by the biggest moments. You want to be able to live up to the expectations you set yourself. And I realized that Kobe Bryant exemplified that. And as you can see here, and as you can see when I said to you earlier that I would bring this out, this is the best gift anyone's ever given to me. I have a tribute of all of the newspaper articles that has ever been written in the LA Times about Kobe Bryant. And I just want to ask you, lot, because this mentality is something that is so rare for anybody to find. So, Mo, what is it? What is it about the DNA? Why is it that he was able to touch so many people? And what is it that made Kobe Bryant so special, even though we only got him for 41 years?
Well, you know, just to touch on what you just said there about the Magic, the next year after that, he went on to beat the Celtics in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. So I know exactly how you were feeling. And, you know,
don't worry, he kicked the Suns out.
Yeah.
He kicked the Suns out, players. I know.
It was by
Kobe. You know, there's a great commercial, and it's Kobe on the court, and it's just all the rival team fans there just booing him, saying they hate him. And, you know, what comes to my mind is there's a thin line between love and hate, because we hated the guy at the time because he was so good, he was just destroying our teams. So that hatred wasn't from a place of ill will. That hatred was from a place of respect, that you are so good, I hate the fact we have to play against you and you're not on our team. So, you know, for the mentality of Kobe Bryant, his number one thing was focus, because for him, it didn't matter how many fans were booing him. It didn't matter how many opponent fans didn't want him to win. It didn't matter how many fans were telling him, or media people were telling him, oh, you're old now, you can't win, or you can't do it without Shaq, or whatever it is. He kept that focus on his goal of being the best, and he continued that throughout one of the greatest careers we've ever seen inside the world of the NBA. And that's a mentality, like I said earlier, that you can apply to anyone who's watching this, even if you're not an NBA player. You know, you can apply that to whatever field you're in, whatever you're doing in life. You can really take the inspiration from Kobe Bryant, because that mindset is what separates him. Everyone in the NBA can play. Everyone in the league can play. There's a reason why those guys are in the league. But it's the mindset that separates the truly great ones from the rest of the pack. And I've never seen or witnessed an athlete really that's had the mindset of Kobe Bryant, that pure dedication. You know, BJ, I know you've been around a little bit longer, so you might have seen a few like Michael Jordan, who was Kobe's idol. But, you know, for my generation, Kobe's an icon, because nowadays everyone wants to be friends, everyone wants to be nice. Kobe just wanted to win, and that's all he was about. He didn't care for nothing else. He just wanted to win above everything else. And, you know, that's the real inspiration for me.
That's where the respect comes from, 100%, Mo. And BJ, I just want to say, because obviously you are a resident in LA, you're very much your thumb is on the pulse, as we say over here, in terms of with that city and everything that affects that city and impacts that city. I've never seen a city take on an icon the way that LA have taken on Kobe. Just tell us how today, and obviously the whole year has been with the city of LA.
Well, you know, LA loves its stars. You know, this is a city of stars, whether it's in entertainment, but in particular, they love their Lakers there. You know, they've seen some of the greatest players to ever play this game, whether that be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Shaquille O'Neal, James Worthy, Jerry West, Kobe Bryant. And Kobe is right up there with the greatest of the greatest players who've ever played this game, period. And, you know, when I think about Kobe Bryant and, you know, all these wonderful things we say about him, and certainly I put me in the category as well, I certainly admired his game. I was an admirer of the way he played, his preparation for the game, the way he went about his business. And more importantly, you know, this one thing but just stands out, being an ex-professional player myself. You know, you have a responsibility when you play this game to make sure that you leave it better than when you found it. And in this case with Kobe Bryant, he never, ever violated that rule. He held that rule close to his heart, the way he prepared, the way he came out, and he went about his business year in and year out. And he did it certainly as long, you know, 18, 19 years or however length of time he played. But the thing is, he certainly left the game in a better place. And the game of basketball was in a better place when he left. And that I always appreciated, because every player who's ever played understands what that means, because you cherish the game and you hold the game in the highest regard. And Kobe Bryant did that. He never cheated the game. He loved the game. The game was a part of his life. And for me to be able to watch this young man, I mean, he was 18, come in with that level of understanding, with that level of respect for the game itself and for the other people who played, it just, to me, was just an amazing thing to have. You know, that was something he knew that instinctively. And you can see the way he played in his career, the way he, performed when it was time to perform, that you saw a man that was truly dedicated to his craft and perfected his craft, and was certainly, when he did leave the game, he was shining as bright amongst the stars as any player who's ever put on a pair of sneakers. And, it was just, it was amazing to see what he was able to accomplish during his basketball career.
Kobe's legacy will live on forever. And this week on Sky, we have some honorary videos showing his greatness, showing everything that he possibly left us through his lens. So I do want to direct you towards Sky Sports Arena tonight, 9 p.m. Kobe Bryant through the years. We focus on the 2008 MVP, focus on the evolution from 8 to 24, the legacy with Shaq, the impact of Phil Jackson, everything. The countless buzzer beaters, the incredible memories, and those shot creations. Before we give him his final goodbye, we sign him out at 10 p.m., Kobe's final game. And what a final performance it was. Iconic performance in the Lakers purple and gold against the Utah Jazz. April 13th, 2016. Do your research. I won't spoil it. Just enjoy the greatness and the emotion that everything was Kobe Bryant. Look, these iconic moments are things that exemplified what was Kobe Bryant. But one thing about Kobe, I know for sure, he'd want us to bring this heat in hot or not, because he never cheated the game. And we don't cheat anything here on Heatcheck. So, gents, I want to start this week's hot or not with some high energy. And I think there's no better place to start than I think about the legacy and I think about everything that's happened this week. And, bro, there's a young man down in LA right now that's showing me something that's got me a little bit smiling. Yeah, I'm talking about a 7th straight winning game on Sunday night. I looked at the Clippers and they're quietly going about their business. But interestingly enough, Mo, while this is happening, no one's really making any sort of noise about the Clippers, who are sitting 13-4 right now, hold the best joint record in the NBA. So I'm saying, Mo Mooncey, first hot take this week, Kawhi is quietly dominating, and the Clippers are looking like where we expected them to be previously.
You're talking absolute facts there, JD, but you answered your own question, within the phrasing of that. They're where you expected them to be, and the reason why they're not getting the buzz and the attention are the same reasons that the Milwaukee Bucks don't get the buzz or the attention in the regular season is, we know you're a great side, we know you can win regular season games, but what about when it counts in the playoffs? So having said that, respect is due. They've had a fantastic 7-game stretch led by Kawhi Leonard. They got off to a bit of a mixed start. He was in the locker room. He actually called out his teammates. He demanded better from them. Over the past 7 games, he's been shooting almost 50% from behind the three-point line. And that's a Kawhi Leonard who's not known for his three-point shooting. He's a mid-range killer. So, he's been lighting up from downtown. He's been getting it done. And on the defensive side of things as well, he's been an absolute terror for opponents. He's up there in terms of the steals, in terms of all the other defensive metrics. And I do want to give a shout out because I like to get the jokes off. You guys know I like to make the jokes about the Clippers and whatnot.
Here we go. We started early.
Here we go.
I'm being serious. While we're here, I do want to give a shout out to Paul George, who's playing amazing basketball, averaging 24 points a game on 50-50-90. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can maintain this after the regular season ends, because we all know that this is a very talented team and they're doing amazing things right now, but let's see it happen when it counts.
As much as Kawhi is dominating, Mo, that took a lot. I know to give you, so I have to give you a respect to shout out PG. I know that took a lot. One of your famous phrases on this show is, I don't trust the Clippers because they keep on clipping. Yeah, so I give you credit. I give you credit. But BJ, I'm looking at the role that Kawhi is playing currently, dominating quietly, as I've turned man and said. But it just seems like this offensive team, the Clippers, they seem to be sitting into their schemes. They seem to be sitting into their rotation in terms of minutes. And everybody understands their role. Usually, that starts behind the leadership of your best player. So in this instance, this is why I'm giving Kawhi the credit. And I feel like he is quietly dominating down in LA. What do you think?
Well, without question, JD, he is quietly dominating. But this is the regular season. And we've seen this before. We've seen this script before. And the Clippers set the stage and they set the standard very high. They said, we are coming here to compete for a championship. The regular season is the regular season. The Clippers got to the postseason last season in the bubble, they were up 3-1. And, before we knew it, they had lost the series. So I'm not going to get too excited here. The Clippers have a goal in mind. They have an opportunity to prove themselves. In the end, their rival, the LA Lakers, play in the same building right here in LA. There's a lot of energy. The city is divided, and the Clipper fans are out. But right now, the Clipper fans, they don't have the same confidence and the same energy they had a year ago after they lost there in the bubble. But give the Clippers players this year credit. They've come out, they've set their goals, but more importantly, let's be about this action. And right now, the Clippers are playing good basketball, but it's not the playoff. It's not the playoffs. And that, to me, is what everyone is waiting for. We want to see Kawhi Leonard. We want to see Paul George. We want to see this Clipper team perform when the lights shine the brightest, because they shine bright out here, guys, in L.A.
Well, he's got a point. Look, after their playoff collapse in the bubble last season, there's a lot of pressure on this Clippers team to prove themselves. So I'm asking you, what you're seeing right now from Kawhi, is that saying enough to you to say that they are good enough to dominate throughout this season?
Well, the Clippers, I think, the thing in question here is the whole team. I don't think any of us can put in question what Kawhi Leonard does when the lights shine bright, because he's done it before. He's won NBA Finals MVPs. He's got a chip by himself, on his own, without being on a super team up in Toronto. So that's without doubt. Let's not play ourselves and act like that's not what this guy does. I think, funny enough, in my own opinion, Kawhi is probably one of the superstars now in the league who's probably had to do maybe the most, because of just how quiet his demeanor is, and there's not necessarily anything super flashy about how he plays. He's probably had to maybe do the most to sort of get that, mega star status tag that now he has. If you look at what he was doing as, arguably the fourth guy on a Spurs team that was getting a little bit older, but, he was a big piece of that team that ended up winning a little bit later. And obviously what he done in Toronto speaks for itself. But I feel like, just because of his demeanor, and he's not a guy that's out here in the media, he's always going to go under the radar. But let's not play ourselves. Kawhi dominates. That's what he does, He might take some days off, but please let's not even get it. Let's not get it twisted. Like, that's not what the claw does. Like, he'll come out here and give you a closed mouth 30, 10, and 10 without saying a damn word to the ref or anyone. Like, let's not do it.
He talks, No. People need to talk. Kawhi does talk when he's on the court. Planter told me he talks.
Do we hear it?
We don't need to hear
it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he don't get into the media.
He's talking his talk.
Hey, it's the same guy that was looking at the iPad with nothing on it, so he didn't have to talk to the media. Hey, Kawhi don't do the talking stuff, B. Like, on the court, that's business. That's different. But, hey, Kawhi a quiet killer, man.
Since we're talking about guys that say very few words, there's no bias in this next hot take. I promise you. This next statement, I just want everybody to kind of take in for a second, because we need to acknowledge a growing star in this league. And he just happens to be a Brit. So shout out to my boy OG Anunoby, because, gents, OG is playing through a career high at this moment in time for us. First 16 games. I'm talking about points. I'm talking about rebounds. I'm talking about over 2 steals a game, shooting from the 3. All of that has come to my newest hot take. And BJ, I need you to take this one in. Yeah, I've seen the growing fundamentals in terms of on the defensive side, but I'm starting a campaign right here on the Heatcheck first. OG Anunoby should be an all-defensive team this year. What do you think?
Give OG credit for where his game, when he first came into this league to now, he's continued every year to get better and better. But more importantly, he takes on that challenge of guarding the other team's best perimeter player night in and night out. So I'm okay with that. I love defensive players in this league. I love players who say, you know what, I'm going to take on that responsibility of shutting another player down. So I'm okay with him being that. And the way he's performed this year, even though the team hasn't been the Toronto Raptors that we've come to expect winning, you know what? but I'm okay with him going out there and we saying here that he should be an all-defensive player. So, shout out to him. Shout out to the coaches and all of the people that played a part in him getting to this place. But more importantly, that he's going out there doing it night in and night out, because you know what? That takes a lot of energy to do it. And he's going out there and not only talking about it, but he's going out there and taking on that challenge every night in the NBA.
Ovie, I need to understand how you feel about this, because I want us to start changing this narrative around OG being a rising star and known for his impact on the defensive end. He's putting up legitimate numbers both ways. But I need everybody to understand how much a defensive staple point he is in this league. He is restricting and holding down players 1 to 5. It doesn't matter who you are. OG accepts the challenge. So do you agree? Anunoby should be an all-defensive team this year.
OG's doing exactly that. He's moving like a G. The guy, he guards the best player. He guards the best player on the other team. But the thing that I love about him is his versatility on the wing. He's able to guard stronger guys like LeBron James, like Kawhi Leonard. But he's also able to guard, more quick guys that are a little bit more skilled, like Tatum's. Guys that probably have a little bit more wiggle on the wing, like I like to call it. I think it's a hot take now. Whether that will actually play out, I'm not sure. Because obviously, I think when they do all of this, all defensive teams, a lot of numbers come into it. And at the end of the day, at the moment, his numbers are great. But, you have to take into consideration the guy is holding the best guy on the other team. So the numbers might not translate into all defensive numbers by the time the season's wrapped up at the end of the day. But I don't think that means he's not an all NBA defender. Like, the guy's terrific, I think any organization would love to have him and will feel comfortable with him holding the other team's best player.
Mo, I know this one's going to bring a smile to your face because you've been bigging up OG on this show for the longest while. So he's improving in front of not just our eyes now, in front of the world. You've seen the sort of change in form that the Raptors have had most recently. How are you feeling about my statement that OG should be in the all-defensive team this year?
You know why it's called OG, right, JD?
Tell me.
Because he's getting me overly gassed right now with the way that he's playing basketball. Oh my! This kid is growing right in front of our eyes. I've been telling everyone since he stepped into the league. I've been telling everyone. They call him Baby Kawhi up in Toronto. Look at the way his game is evolving. I agree with you, man. OG's been doing it. And if it wasn't for OG, the Raptors would be in a much worse spot than they are right now. Ovie, I know you like when I get into my numbers, so I'm going to drop some numbers here because you said the numbers don't add up, but I've got a few that do. I'm going to be making this campaign with you, JD, OG for all defensive team, because the Raptors are allowing 108 points per 100 possessions when OG is on the court. That is a better figure than Draymond Green on Golden State, who has possibly the highest defensive IQ in the league. That's better than Marcus Smart on the Celtics, who is the best defender in the NBA. This is tied with Kawhi Leonard, who we just talked about. Kawhi Leonard, who's up there in MVP conversations. OG, as you guys have said, he could defend 1-2-5, and he could take on the best player on the opposition, and he legitimately locks them down. He took Bam Adebayo, who's been on a hot streak for the Miami Heat. He's putting up over 20 points nowadays on 62% shooting. He took Bam Adebayo down to 14 points, shooting 44%. And then the wonder kid, Luka Doncic, you all know about the triple-doubles he puts up. You all know about the numbers he puts up. But when OG's guarding him, he only had 15 points on 36% shooting. The numbers are there. The question is the rest of the league ready to accept it? And the other question is, in terms of making an all-defensive team, at some point, these stats and these defensive stops have to translate into winning basketball. Because the Raptors really need to figure out, aside from OG on the other side of the court as well, they need to figure out a way to start winning more games. And I've got no doubt that Nick Nurse and Co will figure it out. But OG, you guys need to give him the credit. People need to stop sleeping on the kid because, as I said before, he's getting me overly gassed.
I like that. I'm going to coin that one to you, I told you, every week you come on here, you got to coin a new phrase. Yeah, your trademark list is going to be huge by the end of this. Look, there's no complaints. I'm 2 for 2 with these hot takes this week, so I'm actually gassed. And the last one, as you know, comes each week from the viewers. So this week I've got to shout out our boy, Ewan, who watches the show. And I'm not going to say too much because I don't want my bias to come into this. Yes, because I like you, and I also like this Knicks team. But this statement is an interesting one. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, from this perspective. So, my Mooncey, I need you to take this in for me and tell me how you feel. He believes that this Knicks team is the best Knicks team that he has seen since 1993. Take a deep breath and tell me how you feel.
Knicks fans, I know you guys love it when I talk about your team. So let's talk this talk right now. There's two different statements in that tweet there. There's best and there's exciting. And I don't think either of them are true. Now, that's not to say this Knicks team is bad. Just to remind you guys, let's talk about the excitement at Madison Square Garden. No. Let's be serious for a second. This team is fun. This team is exciting. This team is doing better than we thought it would. But it's not better than when Carmelo Anthony made his return to Madison Square Garden and they were making the playoffs. It's not more exciting than when Jeremy Lin was going off for monster performances in Linsanity. I'm not trying to take away from this team. I'm just saying let's not be too quick to get caught up in the jokes and act like, the Knicks have been completely boring for the past 10, 15 years because, it's not like they're the Sacramento Kings. So, we do have to give credit to the Knicks for what they did with Jeremy Lin and, when they had guys like Melo and Amari Stoudemire and J.R. Smith. For me personally, that was a bit more exciting. I don't get that excited about seeing Elfrid Payton and RJ Barrett play basketball, but this team is fun. What's really stood out for me is they probably got the steal of the draft in Emmanuel quickly. He put up a career-high 31 the other night, the most points put up by a rookie so far this season. And Tom Thibodeau, I was a bit apprehensive about his appointment as coach. He's done a fantastic job in terms of taking players who aren't seen as good defenders and turning the Knicks into a lockdown team on the defensive end. This is the best defense that the New York Knicks have had. Since 2015, 2016, they haven't had a defense that's outside of the bottom 10. Whereas this season, they've completely transformed that. So, all credit is due. What does concern me is the number of minutes that guys are playing. Julius Randle and RJ Barrett are playing like 37, 38 minutes a game. I don't know if that's going to be sustainable over such a strange season in terms of how it's structured, with a lot of games being packed into the schedule. But I'm enjoying watching the Knicks. I'm having fun watching them, but I do have to give respect to some of the Knicks legends that have come before this team, because I can't just go out there and say that this is the best team and the most exciting team since, was it 93 they said in the tweet?
93.
Well, I think Pat Even's got a few things to say about that as well. And I think there are a few other guys, Stephon Marbury. Let's not forget, even when Jamal Crawford was in New York. Let's not forget when Nate Robinson was in New York blocking shots by Yao Ming. That was really exciting. So the Knicks, I'm impressed with them so far this season, but let's not get too much dip on our chip here.
BJ, it's important.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I just got to go back. The dip on the chip. I can't let that get by.
I knew that was happening.
The dip on the chip.
You ever be eating nachos and you're eating the nachos nice, but when you put too much dip on the nacho, the nacho crumbles and it breaks. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't have too much dip on the chip.
I can't eat any more chip now. It's not
Never can.
Bro.
This is good. I'll tell you why this is good, because this is the first time I've seen Knicks fans in a while get very active on the social media, start talking with their chest again, like Madison Square Garden is the place to be. But 1993 was a long time ago. That was what? Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing, big boy Anthony Mason. Like, that 93 team behind Pat Riley was serious. Yeah, they went all the way to the finals. There's no taking that away. But you're telling me there's been no team in between then and now that has been exciting or better than that team. BJ, how do you feel about that take?
I played against those teams, and I'm still aching from playing against Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing, and all of the guys because of the physicality of that time. Now, if I recall, there was another team that made it to the finals with the Knicks. That was with Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby, and those guys. LJ, when he was out here doing his thing, and they were a really good team. So, I love the participation with the fans. I love to see the New York fans back out because they have been patient. And I mean, they've been patient for quite some time. But to say what they said, this is the most exciting team, I can't say that. This is the best team. I certainly can't say that. They've had some incredible players there over the years. In particular, one, Patrick Ewing. Let's not forget him. Allen Houston, I mean, H2O. I mean, his jump shot was so silky smooth. They've had some really great players there. But what I do like about this new New York Knicks team, if there's a team that embodies the city, they're a tough group. They have a coach that he coaches toughness. They're playing the game the right way. They defend every single night. And not only do you see Julius Randle playing the game at a very high level. I mean, if there's an all-star game this year, Julius Randle certainly deserves to be there. Then you have RJ Barrett is playing terrific basketball, and this kid quickly. I mean, he's playing arguably as well as any rookie in the NBA. And let's not forget about the other player as well, Toppin. This kid, the other rookie that they have. He's coming back from an injury, excellent. And yes, I do believe that this kid, Mitchell Robinson, someday will be Defensive Player of the Year. If there was a player that will benefit more than any other player from playing for their coach, Tom Thibodeau, it will be Mitchell Robinson. I'm going to say it here, guys, say it here before anyone. He will be Defensive Player of the Year someday. That kid is a phenomenal athlete at the center position. He does things that you just don't see. And if him and Tom Thibodeau are there together for the next 2 or 3 years, he will be Defensive Player of the Year. The future is bright in New York, but certainly I can't agree with that statement as of right now.
Producer Ellis, you got another hot take that you need to clip up right there. Make sure you put that one in the BJ archive, yeah? I like that. But Ovie, look, I think about some of those Knicks teams. I think about Jeff Van Gundy, all those consecutive years he took those teams to the playoffs. Carmelo Anthony, as Mo was talking about earlier. I mean, we didn't even talk about Allen Houston. How does this team stack up with all of those teams?
Yeah, I mean, it's a dead take. It's a dead take. Take is dead in the water. But I do see where they're coming from. I would say what I feel like this Knicks team does have is they're starting to find an identity. You know, they're starting to find an identity as a group and as a young group. And I feel like you can see a direction that they're going in, which is really nice. I feel like it's a breath of fresh air for the Knicks fans. And I think it might be early to say, but, you know, the early signs show that they've achieved what they were after with sort of the huge change and the huge sort of mass clear out. You know, they're starting to play with a new identity, and I think they can grow into that. And as young players, I think that's really, really important with a new coach that the players seem to be taking to. I think that's really good. And yeah, I think the Knicks have good things to look forward to in the future. But the best team, you know, there's a difference between overachieving, you know, and being the best team, you know, since '93, when there's been so many teams that have come in, you know, that have had huge expectations to deal with, on top of being in the city of New York. And anyone who knows anything about New York, if the pressure is 5 everywhere else in the world, then New York is 10. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So let's. I see where they're coming from, though. I see where they're coming from.
Look, at the end of the day, thank you, Knicks fans, because it's about time you arrived at the party, and it's about time you started getting active on social. Yeah, I know it's been 10 years, it's been a long time. So we're just happy for your participation more than anything else. We're just happy for your participation, and we know you've had to be patient. Whoa. Yeah, talking about being patient. Let's jump into some of the games.
You Orlando fan, you're talking with your chest.
Let's jump into some of the games that we have to talk about this week in the primetime preview. Oh, what action we have. This weekend starts off right. 1:30 Saturday night. Lakers versus Celtic. I mean, 2 of the most successful teams in NBA history. Incredible. LeBron James fresh off 240 big point nights. And of course, the Celtics as well, who are contending to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference this year. And then we move into Sunday. We start off nice and early, 6 o'clock, Sky Sports Arena for you. The LA Clippers, the man we were talking about earlier, Kawhi Leonard, and his great breakout performances this year against the team that we were just talking about, the New York Knicks. Let's see how good these Knicks really are. Madison Square Garden is due to be exciting, 6 o'clock, Sky Sports Arena, and that's before we head over to our watch-along special. Surprise packages in the bubbles, both of these teams, in both Utah and Denver. And we are excited to see round, 8? of Jamal Murray versus Donovan Mitchell as they go head-to-head and continue to make their statements in this league. So, gents, look, I just want to get a few words from you, obviously going into this weekend and all the games that we have. That's going to be an exciting triple header, as we're calling it. And Mo, I want to come to you first because you know where I'm going to start with you. You are a Celtics fan that's currently wearing a Lakers jersey, so it's only right that I come to you last.
Confused. I'm joking.
Ain't no joking here. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here.
Why did you start him off?
Mo, I had to say it. I had to.
I told you, this is a Kobe jersey. This ain't no Lakers jersey. This is a Kobe jersey.
I know.
The 24 on the back. You know how I do.
I know.
Anyway. Let me start over again.
In this elite world, this year in the Eastern Conference playoffs. The team's been elite.
Jaydee,
now you're weighing up against to be the best team. Do your thing.
In this world, there are certain things that are just iconic combinations, right? Mm-hmm. Peanut butter and jelly, sneakers and jerseys, and the Lakers and the Celtics. All these things are intrinsically twined throughout history. If we go back into the history of the NBA, you've got obviously like Bill Russell, Jerry West, then Magic and Bird, and then Kobe and the Celtics Big Three. And then if we go into the most recent history, last season the Celtics and Lakers gave us 2 of the games of the season. The last time the Lakers were in Boston, they got beat, and they got beat bad. They lost 139-107 at the hands of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who were dunking all over LeBron. And then when the Celtics went to LA, the Lakers got their revenge. But that was a close one that went down to the wire with the Lakers winning by just 2 points. So I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. But what I do know is it's going to be a fantastic game because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown never hold back when you go against the king. LeBron James hasn't been dunked on by many people. 2 of the only people to ever LeBron on a poster are going to be going up against him on Saturday night. And I know that's going to be fueling the fire of King James, who wants to establish his authority on these young guys that are coming up. And of course, Anthony Davis, I expect a huge game from him because the Celtics, we don't have any big players that can guard him. It's going to be horrible. I think AD can drop 40 points on us, but we're going to have to wait and see. So I'm excited for this one to see what happens. We've got Kemba Walker back in the lineup as well. And, you know, it's going to be a good battle.
BJ, I want you to talk about early Sunday game. I mean, the Knicks have impressed everybody this year with their growth, tenacity, and buying into Coach Tibbs' system. So it's a big test for them, though. We're talking about arguably the most informed team in the league and the Clippers right now. How are you expecting this one to sort of play out?
Well, you know, I think we're talking about the Knicks and the Clippers, correct? Is that who we're talking about?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think the Clippers right now are playing great basketball. I heard this morning, recently this morning here in LA, that possibly both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George will miss a substantial amount of time due to the protocols of COVID-19. I'm not sure how many games they actually will miss, but let's be aware of that, guys, and let's keep our eye on that, because if they miss these games, I think it gives the Knicks a great chance to win these games. The Knicks, have been playing well on the road. They're on the West Coast swing right now. I think they go up there and they beat Golden State. They play well. They're very competitive last night quickly, and these guys are playing well. And anytime you see young players playing well on the road, you have to take notice. But if the Clippers' top guys, in particular Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, miss a substantial amount of games, let's look for the Knicks to take these games, because these are very winnable games for this New York Knicks basketball team.
I like that. That's positive. See, Knicks fans, we're always holding out for you. And Ovie, look, I want you to conclude sort of our primetime preview, the watch-along this weekend. Both Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray were incredible in the bubble. They were both making statements. Both had breakout sort of performances. But let's say that Jamal Murray slightly plateaued since that, and Mitchell has continued his growth. So how do you expect Sunday evening's game to sort of play out, and how excited are you to be back on the watch-along, my bro?
Well, obviously, first thing, I'm super excited to be back watching with you guys, sort of giving my input, arguing with Mo, listen to the wisdom from BJ, listening to BJ's wisdom on the game. It's just good vibes, good energy, it's just fun to be there. But I don't think we can depend on, Murray sort of staying in a slump. If you're banking on him having bad games and a long stretch of bad games for an extended period of time, I'd say you're crazy. But I think it's got all the makings for a really tough game. Both teams have really good big men. They've all got strong guard play. And I think this one's going to be a closer. It's going to go down to the wire. I think Denver's bench, they come out, they play really hard. I love the energy of that second unit. And I think that will definitely might give them an edge. But I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a tough one.
Well, guys, I can't wait to see you this weekend. It's going to be good. Yeah, BJ's going to be there. Mo's going to be there. Ovie's going to be there. Sky Sports YouTube. You know what time it is for the watch along. Again, I'm so excited because we get to turn around and tune in for round 8, I'm calling it, between Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell. But I've got more action to turn around and tell you about before then. And obviously, we know this is a very special day. A year on, we get to still reflect on what is Kobe Bryant's legacy. 9 p.m. tonight. We'll get to look through the years of Kobe Bryant. Like I said, all of those NBA championships, all 5. The incredible transition between the 8 to the 24. The legacy and the conversations with Phil Jackson. Obviously, the legacy as well with Shaquille O'Neal. And more than anything else, just honouring the man who gave us so much and never, ever cheated the game. And then what I'm calling the final goodbye in Kobe's final game as well against the Utah Jazz. I said it all the time. April 2016. It was a night none of us will ever forget. And a night Kobe showed everybody as to why the Mamba was so brilliant. Guys, this has been real. This has been emotional. Thank you so much for giving us your excellence as always. Yeah, I appreciate you all. And look, I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday. This is usually the part where we have some sort of joke or some sort of cliche or some sort of goodbye. To say goodbye, usually we do, genuinely on the Heatcheck. But this week I'm actually just going to end on a Kobe quote because it only seems right. So if you take anything, especially during this time where everyone's still trying to work out things with the global pandemic, use these Kobe Bryant words, please. Everything negative, pressure, challenges, everything is all an opportunity to rise. So the moment you give up is the moment you let somebody else win. Take that always. Mamba forever, man.
Sky Sports. Feel it all.